What would I say to the 7-year-old version of myself while being alienated from my dad? What advice would I give? What guidance would be helpful? What could I do to provide comfort to that scared, innocent child that was being forced to choose between their parents? What could I say that could possibly make a difference to a 7-year-old mind that says you can only love one parent? Hey, I'm Ryan Thomas, and I wanted to make this video as a different way to talk about the effects and impact of alienation and how that really affects the child, what that child is going through, and then from my own experience, look back and imagine being able to sit and kind of put my arm around me and give that advice and that guidance and that comfort. So in order to do that, you first have to step back and look at the environment that I was living in. What were the emotional triggers that were going off that I have to figure out what's this kid dealing with? And at that particular stage of my experience, and of course this happens with all children who are alienated, it's not necessarily stage or time specific, it's what stage are they at. So for me at that time, I had grown up from the age of 3 to just believing these lies about my dad, being forced this narrative in this story about who my dad and his side of the family was. So by the age of 7, I'm actually in a relationship with my dad. I'm seeing him on days during the week. I'm spending weekends with him. And I'm actually, when I'm with him, I'm enjoying our time. My dad is a good guy. I love my dad. I think my dad loves me. And yet there is this constant story of not only how bad he is, but also this constant dread of having to go and see him. You have to see him on the weekends. Ugh, it's your father's night. It's your father's weekend. So I'm constantly trying to square how I think and feel about my dad independently, and at the same time, all of this constant commentary, not only that's hurtful, not only that's just really upsetting to hear that my dad doesn't care, my dad doesn't want me, he hurt me, he hurt the rest of my family, he's only seeing me because he knows that it will drive the rest of my family crazy, and that he's irrelevant. But I actually have to start now doing things to be in alignment with that thought process. So if he's not supposed to have this time with me because he's a jerk, now it's time for me to start writing letters. I don't want to see you. I don't want to spend time with you. Now it's gone from just, yeah, he's a jerk, he's worthless, he was just a sperm donor, to actually having to confront my dad in whatever way and say, yeah, I don't like you, or I don't want to, again, come. I don't want to see you. I don't want to spend time with you. And so that becomes a real struggle for me internally. And so that's just the sort of the environment that I wanted to create. So let's imagine now that I have a quiet moment with me at 7 years old, and I kind of picture myself going into my bedroom where I spent my childhood. I imagine me sitting on my bed. I had a green and yellow plaid comforter or bedspread, as they called it back then. I had that bedspread, and I'm sitting there with a Cabbage Patch doll, a monkey, and a little dog named Peppy. So that's the environment that I go into. And in this moment, I don't have to worry about anybody, coming in. I don't have to worry about being interrupted when I'm talking to myself. So there's no fear. There's just calm. And so I imagine walking into my room, seeing myself sitting there, surrounded by my stuffed animals, which was very much a protective mechanism, far away and above just liking stuffed animals. So I sit down and I say to myself, I want you to know that right now, it is okay for you to love your mommy, and it's okay for you to love your daddy. I want you to recognize and to believe and to really hold on to, just as much as you hold on to your stuffed animals, that it's okay to love daddy. It's okay to love daddy. It's okay to love daddy and mommy. Even if you sometimes feel like you have to do things that you don't want to do, even if you don't feel like you want to write that letter to dad and give it to him, even if you feel like you don't always want to have to say and go along with the idea that you don't want to see your dad, it's okay that if inside, in your heart, you do want to see him. He's your dad. It's okay that even if you're doing these things that you don't want to do, that you can feel that desire to want to see him. It's okay that if the weekends come and you think about how dad makes that breakfast, it's okay to have that good feeling. If you want to think about doing fun things like playing putt-putt golf, you're not bad. You're not going to upset anybody. It's okay for you to love your dad because he's your dad. And at the same time, it's really important to know that every bit that you love your dad, want to have excitement to be with your dad, it doesn't take away from how much you love mommy. It doesn't take away how much you love Mima and Papa and your aunt. You can love everybody. Your love for all of this family that you have around you, you have so much. It's an unlimited supply. If you turn the water faucet on, if you went right now into the bathroom and turned the water faucet on, doesn't that water faucet just keep going and going and going? It constantly flows. That's just like your love. You can love everybody. And it's okay to recognize that right now, your mommy's upset. Your mommy and everybody else is upset with your dad. They don't really get along. They don't really like him. But that doesn't mean that you can't love your dad. That doesn't mean that you can't look at the things that your dad has done for you or the time that you get to spend with him and say, I love my dad. I'm excited to see my dad. When my dad and I are together, we do fun things, whether it's just a couple days a week or a couple days a month. I look forward to it. I get excited about it. That's really okay. You're not hurting anybody's feelings. And right now, if you don't feel like you really want to say something to mommy, just know that you can always love in your heart. You can always keep that desire for your dad alive. And it's okay if other people are mad at him. It doesn't have to impact you. It doesn't have to affect you. You can feel sorry. Oh, I'm sorry that mommy's upset. I'm sorry that the rest of my family is upset with daddy. But I love him. He's okay to me. And so you can see that's a really simple message, right? And one of the reasons that it's so important and why I would take this approach with that 7-year-old version of myself is that it's at a really critical time. And I can remember that sense of guilt and loyalty and stress and anxiety. And what happens in a situation like this is that the child starts to lose their sense of self. The child starts to lose, I started to lose my sense of love and desire for my dad because it was getting so overrun, so overpowered by having to comply and conform and to constantly hear that barrage of negativity about my dad. I just succumbed to it. And so what it became was it became survival. And so when you're stressed out like that, you think you have to throw it all away. In order for me to be compliant over here and to not upset or hurt mom and the rest of my family, I have to go along with this. But the more you go along with this, you just lose your sense of what you actually like, what you actually want, what your desires are, what your version of, no, this isn't fair, right? To kind of play the child having a fit, throwing a tantrum, the no, 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 no. I want this, I want that. You lose that sense of self, of pure, unadulterated, I don't care, this is what I want. You lose that desire for the parent who is the bad parent, for the parent that you're being told to reject. So it's really important for me to say to that child, keep it in your heart, keep loving, don't feel bad, don't feel guilty, love, 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 be excited, even if you have to go along with this. Now, very clearly, this is still compartmentalizing the problem. You have what the child actually thinks, feels, and wants, and then you have the behavioral, the compliant to say the nasty things, to push away, to write the letters, to whatever that is that's a rejection action. And so a lot of times we always focus on, or one tends to focus on, the outward behavior, the outward change, the action. I have to get them to stop rejecting me. I have to get them to go along with their desire to remember the good times so that they can stand up against the alienator, say, no, I want this relationship. But because that's so hard, because the whole power dynamic is different, where you have, in my case, my mom and then the rest of my family, the regime, all of those people against little 7-year-old me, I'm not going to be able to stand up to them. Who else do I have? I'm on my own except for them. So instead of trying to just focus on changing the behavior, I want to focus on making sure that that child emotionally is centered, making sure that that version of myself remembers all the time, I can love, I do love, I can love, I do love, I can love, I do love, I do want dad's love, I do want dad's love. So that's what I would keep saying to myself. It's okay. Again, tell myself, that 7-year-old version, hug yourself. It's okay to love. It's okay to love. It's okay to be excited. It's okay to want to be loved. It's okay to want to be loved. It's okay to want to be loved. It's okay to love. Because that allows me to, yes, it's again compartmentalizing, but it's a lot easier to build from that strength of never losing the true attachment that the child has, and then go, I love this, I love my parent. That never affected me. I'm just having to play the game. I'm just having to go along with this. This is upsetting. This is hurting. I feel like I'm hurting another parent, but I know inside I love them. And even to the extent of when the child then, when I would go with my dad, if I can somehow positively compartmentalize that, I go, I play the game, I play the game, I play the game, but I love my dad and it's okay to love my dad, and then I get to go to be with my dad, I can just shed that. I don't have to worry about playing the game. I don't have to worry about keeping up appearances. I can just go and be myself and be present with my dad. I can love my dad. Now, if I have to go back in as an alienated child and toe the line and go along with the commentary, again, this is not a healthy situation, but at least I can start to compartmentalize that. I can go, I know the difference between this is how I feel and this is what I want versus this is what I have to do. This is what I've been doing. Ultimately, this is what I want to do. And so that's why I would start at this particular moment, not about changing the behavior. It's about locking in and solidifying that emotion for the child so that they don't lose their sense of self. Because what happens is when you lose that, as you move on, and again, the can gets kicked further down the road and nothing changes and you don't lock that in, what happens is the child automatically, just like I did, you start to lose that sense of what I want. And that's not just about dad, that's about the other parent, that's about everything. You don't have an opinion. I don't know, what do you want? Well, I'll just go along with it. Why? Because it's conformity and compliance. Conformity and compliance in this particular instance to anybody, an alienated parent, it could be a partner, a spouse, a friend, another influence where you just start going along with it, that's bad enough. But if you lose that sense of, I don't want this, I don't like this, I don't want to do this, or I want to do this instead, or no, I want to have this thing, person, experience in my life. If once you lose that, Once you lose or you even stop thinking about what I want, and it's all about compliance, it's all about playing the game, well then guess what? That compliance and that game becomes your reality. You no longer can switch between this is who I truly am, this is what I truly want, and okay, I got to go and do these things to stay out of trouble, to keep the peace, to not hurt anybody. And so the little secondary part that I would say in this moment with myself is I would let myself know that, now kind of go back into this. So again, sitting on the bed, and I say, I know that sometimes your mommy and the rest of your family, they want you to believe the things. They want you to go along with these ideas and these beliefs. But it's okay for you to have your own opinion. It's okay for you to judge daddy on the time that you've spent. When you're with him, does your dad make you feel happy? Does your dad seem to focus everything on you? Yeah. Does your dad try to make things fun and exciting? Yes. Do you recognize that you get to see mommy and the rest of your family every day, all the time? Right? Hours and hours and days and weeks and weeks. And yet your dad, right? You only have a couple of days a week. You have Thursday dinner or Friday or Saturday night or Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but you don't get that much time. So sometimes dad really wants to make sure that those couple of days that he has, he may not always want to focus on homework. He may not always want to, focus on some of those disciplinarian things. He wants to just have fun and have an experience with you. So it's okay that you're having fun. It's okay that sometimes mommy and the rest of your family will say, he's not a real father. He's not a real parent. He doesn't do flashcards with you. He doesn't care about your schooling. That's really something that they're upset about. And that's okay. They have a right if they want to be mad, that's okay. But it doesn't mean you have to be mad. You're not hurting mommy's feelings if you still love daddy inside. You're not hurting anybody's feelings or making them wrong for how they feel just because you may not want to feel that way. So I really want, when you hear bad things about dad, when you hear things that you feel like you may have to take part in, if you have to do that, just remember their opinions, their thoughts, their experiences, well, they're not yours. It's okay for you to have your own opinions. It's okay for you to have your own thoughts and desires. So that's the main message that I would give. And to start at a very small, simple level, drawing that distinction between emotions and really making sure they don't lose sense of self and their own thoughts and opinions, and just starting to drop that hint that other people can have thoughts and opinions. It doesn't mean you have to adopt them. It doesn't mean you have to make them yours. So this was an interesting experiment to do this video and to think about it on this particular level. I'm going to be taking other pockets of time in my life, both at age and in situations that you and your child or you and your children, milestones, events, again, and specific ages, and doing this same thing. Because at each stage, the emotion's different, the situation's different, the challenge or the chaos is different. And so I want to do this. So let me know in the comments if this was helpful, if you liked hearing this, if you want me to do more of the what I would say to myself at this age while being alienated. Look forward to your thoughts and your comments on this. I'm Ryan Thomas. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and like this video so that not only it helps the channel grow, but also so that other parents who are dealing with this, who may or may not even know about parental alienation, can find it. Thanks so much, and we'll see you on the next video.